Hey guys, it's me, Vinny Lospinuso. I'm back with another video on what Spider-Man 4 could potentially look like. Now, for those that did not see my vlog yesterday, Thomas Hayden Church, while promoting the Twisted Metal series he'll be a part of on Peacock, spoke with comicbook.com and said that he heard rumors about Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire getting back together and making a Spider-Man 4 for Sony. Now, I don't know if he's hearing the same rumors that we are hearing or if he knows a bit more than we do. I mean, he's not involved in the movies. He hasn't had any contact from Sony or from Marvel. So, for all we know, he could be hearing the same kind of rumors that we are. But either way, this is a relatively good development, I would say. Even if it's not going to happen, it is at least something, I would say. As for those that don't know, Spider-Man 4 was going to happen in 2011. However, with issues with, this Columbia/Sony and Sam Raimi led to the movie getting canceled. Then they had to rush and reboot it with Andrew Garfield and The Amazing Spider-Man. Eventually that went by the wayside, and then Tom Holland Spider-Man was in the MCU, and so on and so forth. That's where we are today with 3 different live-action Spider-Man, a series of Spider-Man that we don't have a Spider-Man for yet, as well as a Spider-Verse series of movies. But there's still demand to see an Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield and a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire. So, while here, I'm going to list 10 things. It could be more, but these are 10 things I would like to see for a potential Spider-Man 4. Now, this is just my opinion. It doesn't have to be what you'd like to see. It's only what I would like to see. If you want to give your 2 cents on what you'd like to see on potential Spider-Man 4, make your own vlog. Comment to me. You can do anything you want. Message me on Twitter, text me, call me. Do whatever you want. But this is my personal list, and it can be different from yours, and that's okay. We're allowed to have each other's opinion. Now, this isn't in order. This is just 10 things I'd like to see. Now, one thing I'd like to see, for the first thing, I would like to have Marvel Studios' involvement within this movie. I know with Andrew Garfield, I know a big reason why he was willing to come back was because of the involvement with Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige. I think he did say that. I'm not entirely sure, but I am confident in the fact that he did say that. So I would say that if you're going to do a Spider-Man 4, you have to make sure that Marvel Studios at least has some overhead involvement of what they want to try to do. So I would say have Marvel Studios involved within this movie. The next thing you want to do is, if this is going to be a swan song for Tobey Maguire and in his lead role as Spider-Man, you have to be willing to give him and Sam Raimi creative freedom to do whatever they want. Like I said, if this is going to be a swan song for them, for Spider-Man, you got to make sure that they do what they want to do. Let them write the story. Let them do the story that they would want to do with as little studio interference as possible. Because that was a big reason why Spider-Man 3 still has mixed reception to this day. It's a big reason for it. Granted, it still has a cult following for a lot of reasons, especially for some meme potential. But still, it's good if you have Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire let them make the movie they want to make. My third thing that I would like to see is make Tobey Maguire a producer on the movie. Tobey has not been acting as much since his Spider-Man days, and he acts very, very, very rarely. He acts in like a couple movies here and there. Like usually if he is acting in any movies, unless it's the No Way Home, he's usually producing the movies. And granted, none of the movies he's been in have been, the most successful at the box office, but still, he was in Pawn Sacrifice, he was in Babylon. So I do think if Tobey should be producing this movie alongside Marvel Studios and have his studio, I forget what his name, I forget what the name of his production studio is, but have that studio produce the movie alongside Marvel Studios, Pascal Pictures, and whatnot. Number 4, if you're going to do a story, lean into the idea of an older Peter Parker. It's been 20 years since we've had his own dedicated movie for just Tobey Maguire version of Spider-Man. Obviously, you saw him in No Way Home in the last few, like, 20 minutes of the movie, 20, 30 minutes of the movie. But the last time we saw him in his own starring role as Peter Parker Spider-Man was in 2007. So if this movie's going to come out in, like, let's say late 2020s, early 2030s, you have to lean into the fact that this is an older Peter Parker Spider-Man. Have him married to Mary Jane, and because he did say at the very end of No Way Home that they made it work. Let him have a kid. It'd probably be Mayday. Maybe they have more than one. I'm not sure. Let her have the powers. But you got to really lean into that aspect of it. Have him be older and make sure you lean into that. Number 5. Have Aunt May's death be a part of the story. Now, Rosemary, forget her name, the woman that played Aunt May in the movies, she's still alive, but she's 95 years old, and she probably won't be alive for much longer. And she's a great actress. And if you do have her in as a cameo, she'll probably be dead by that point. But you can have Aunt May's death have an impact on Peter and his family. I think that would be a great way to help that character out. Number 6. Okay, this one's a fun one. You got to have Bruce Campbell in the movie in somewhere. And, I'd love to see him as Mysterio. So why not? Have like a montage of some villains and show him arresting Mysterio as Bruce Campbell. I know that's a very weird thing to put in there, but it's something that was going to happen in Spider-Man 4 originally, and I'd like them to still have that now. So I would say I'm really down for that. Number 7. I would want them to potentially show a brand new villain. And try to just don't clutter it with too many villains. Like in Spider-Man 3, like have just one major villain. And if you want to have like a small secondary villain, you could, but make it much more minor. Just go with one major villain. So that way it doesn't seem overcrowded and it's made more streamlined and focused. That this is his story. We have to learn about this villain, their past, their involvement with Peter Parker and Mary Jane potentially, the conflict they have. Make it build like that. Don't overstuff it. Don't try to just ruin fan service for it. Just do one villain. Just do one major villain. It'll make things a lot easier. Number 8, going on with this whole thing. Make sure the plot isn't too over convoluted. Don't be like Spider-Man 3 where there's so much going on. Or like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 where you're trying to hype up so much. If this is going to be the last hurrah, make it streamlined, tie up some of those loose ends, and make it streamlined and make it good for the audience. Make it as a good farewell. Make sure it is streamlined properly. Number 9, I would say, Peter Parker is not going to be Spider-Man forever, obviously, so you're going to have to pass it towards someone else. This could be Mayday, potentially, but if not, you could introduce Miles in the movie. This universe's version of Miles Morales. You could introduce him and have him as a protege of sorts, as the next person to carry on that red and blue spandex. Well, in the case of Miles, it'd be black and red, but you get the idea. You can have him as a protege almost, developing with it, and if not him, you can use May. And finally, for number 10, what I would like to see is what kind of multiversal elements would this have in the movie and the universe? What would this have in the greater ramifications of both what Marvel Studios and, with what Sony wants to do? And like I said, Miles, it doesn't have to be the protege. I would personally prefer if they would focus more on Peter Parker, but I can definitely see them passing the torch on this one, so I wouldn't mind that. That's something I would be interested in seeing or at least touched on. But considering how we left off on No Way Home, I am curious about what the greater multiversal implications this movie would have on that, and for what both of those studios, both for Disney and for Sony, want to do for the future. So those are 10 things I want to see. You know, get Marvel Studios involved. Make sure there's more creative control. Have Toby be a producer. Show him as an older Peter Parker with a family. Have Aunt May dead and have that be part of the story. Have Bruce Campbell as Mysterio as like a cameo. Have one villain. Streamline the story to make it easier. Have a potential protege and show what the future multiversal impacts could be. So that's 10 things I would like to see in a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire in the red and blue suit and with Sam Raimi as the director. Produced by Marvel Studios and Tobey Maguire's production company, and with also Pascal's pictures. That's just my thoughts. What do you have to say? What do you think that they will do? What would you like to see them do? What do you think they're not going to do? Let me know in the comments below. Search, he has Kevin Feige needs to stay away from any future Marvel Disney comic movies. Thought he was a genius. He is not. Search Chai, I have some sad news for you. Kevin Feige started this whole thing for the MCU, and he's going to continue being the producer until he is not. So, I mean, they could potentially do it with Marvel Studios. They could just be a Sony-only production. But I personally believe, in my opinion, that if you're going to be successful with this, you got to help out. You're going to have Kevin Feige have some pointers here and there. But that's just my thoughts. What do you have to say? I'd like to know what you have to say for this in the comments below. And like this video if you haven't already. Subscribe to Zennie62 Media for more videos like this. And I'll talk to you very soon.